Welcome to The Sign Off, the marketing podcast for marketing people who want to chat about marketing. Every 2 weeks, we'll be chatting about a topic and how brands are using it to see if we'll give it the sign off. I'm Liz Hawkins.
And I'm Lydia Jones. We've made marketing and now we teach marketing and are generally a little obsessed about marketing. So if you want to listen to two Gen Xers talk about marketing in today's crazy old world, stick around.
Right, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Ho, ho, ho.
Welcome to the last podcast of 2024, where Lydia and I will be going through some of the Christmas adverts of the year. Some of our faves, some of our flops, and most of all, the rules of a good Christmas ad. So let's start off with that.
Oh, okay, the ingredients, yeah.
We need a good recipe, I feel.
It is a bit like making a Christmas pudding. What makes a good Christmas ad? Well, it's got to be Christmassy. I mean, that's kind of a given.
Well, I don't know. I think that you're right. It needs to be Christmas-y. But if you think about the JD Sports ad...
I actually really like that ad this year, yeah.
And they snuck it in and it wasn't particularly Christmassy.
It's not Christmassy at all, in the traditional sense.
No.
Which is very nice. Well, I mean, you set up the rules and then you break them, right? Mm-hmm.
That's always how you play the game.
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, it's got to be emotional, heartwarming. And I think the JD Sports ad is emotional and heartwarming, for sure, because it's about family. Mm-hmm. And what's really nice about that ad is about chosen family.
It is. Yeah.
And I thought that was very, very insightful. I thought they did a really, really good job of capturing those little vignettes of friends interacting with each other and having a lovely time. So I thought that was wonderful and a really positive, actually, you know, and captured youth culture really nicely, especially urban youth culture.
I thought that was particularly nice because normally Christmas ads tend to be a bit cliche with the whole family and very kind of nice middle classy, whereas I thought that was really nicely done. Yeah,
brilliant. So that's not particularly Christmassy, but it was Christmas-ish in the sense of it was about family and chosen family.
I also think it had a really good impact as well. It made you want to keep watching.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Which I think is another really important part of Christmas advertising, especially now when it's quite difficult to watch a Christmas ad because people very, very rarely watch terrestrial telly.
Well, actually, that's not true.
Is it not true?
Absolutely
or is
not
it
true.
That's just me? I don't watch telly.
I taught, what did I teach? I taught advertising strategy the other week. So in terms of video watching, so obviously there's loads of different kinds of videos that you can watch, so streaming or TikTok or YouTube or whatever. And we think, oh, everybody's just watching YouTube and TikTok. It's not actually true. Yes, while the proportion of TikTok has increased, it's still very tiny in terms of number of hours.
Yeah.
And so linear television, literally people sitting on the sofa and turning on their television, just watching television as it is broadcast, is I think roughly now about 40%, maybe slightly over. And I think 10 years ago, it's 50%. So it is declining. It might be a bit more than that. But it is declining and other things are coming in. So we're still watching the same amount of hours in terms of consuming video content. And streaming is obviously a part of that as well. But it's linear television is still a lot of hours is spent watching linear television. So it might not be you and it might not be me or our students perhaps, but there is still a huge amount of people watching linear television. So we can't write it off. So this is why Christmas ads are really working.
I was actually thinking that the streaming services were doing a better job at making you watch adverts now because you can't skip over them unless you've... So, for example, on Prime, you now have to watch the ad.
Yep. I thought it's very cheeky of Prime, actually, because I already pay for it.
I know. ITV as well.
ITVX. Well, they've always made you watch ads on ITVX, and same with Channel 4 as well. You can't skip them. So that's that. But they don't have as many as a regular ad break where you can, if you're on catch up, you can just whiz through them.
More annoyingly on Prime, it's the same sodding advert.
Well, that's the media planner's fault.
No.
It's like, come on, guys.
If you watch 2 episodes back to back, it's the same advert all the way through and you're like...
Yeah, that's really tedious. But that's a media planner's job. And also the media owner's job. They're not actually selling their video on demand
Do a better job, guys.
Come on, guys, media guys, you need to work harder.
Okay, so we got...
But anyway, so people are watching ads.
Yep.
And so impact, you're right, absolutely. It's got to have impact because otherwise, what's the point in spending all that money? And it's got to be emotional and heartwarming for sure. But I think also, I certainly working on Christmas ads, a creative agency loves a long old ad. Oh, let's have a 90-second. Very, very nice. But you can do it in shorter spots. But they tend to say, because Christmas is particularly a unique type of advertising, it shouldn't be unique, but it generally is, as in, like, you do emotional advertising over 90 seconds then, and then you do all of your shorter sales driving stuff later. So you can tell a story. So you can have some sort of narrative arc in your spot. You can do that over 40 seconds. I did that one year over 40 seconds. It was a lovely spot. But they tend to be longer. And I think if you're going to, tell a story, I think the casting that you have in your advert is very, very important. And I think if you're going to have a kind of Rainbow Nation casting policy, then it has to be a genuine reflection and a genuine authentic representation rather than just kind of some box ticking exercise. So I think on the whole, the advertising industry actually has done a really good job of representation, much better than, I don't know, say like film and TV. Yeah. Let's just say. But sometimes it can be a bit like, oh, we need every, person on the rainbow represented, and let's just have a mixed race family because that's, and then literally you can't move for mixed race families in all adverts. So that was quite interesting with the Boots advert this year.
Yes.
And the Sainsbury's advert a few years ago, which was, they had to turn off the comments on their YouTube channel, which was very disappointing.
As I've said before, I'm
over it.
I'm so over the backlash thing, and I'm so over the bad casting. Just do better.
But and the reaction is very tedious now as well. And so those are the kind of key elements.
I also think we've missed one. I think it needs to be positive. I don't think we can have a whingy ad about how tedious Christmas is or how hard work it is or all of those sort of things.
Absolutely not. No, I mean, Asda tried to do that one year with a tired, kind of burnt out mum doing everything and looking after everybody and no one helping. And, okay, maybe that is the reality in some, or if not lots of homes. But no one needs to see that at Christmas. No. I'm sorry, it can't be a big old moany Christmas is a nightmare advert.
The line was actually quite good if they hadn't have done the first bit.
What was the line again,
So
Liz?
The line was, it doesn't happen by magic. Behind every great Christmas, there's a mum, and behind her is Asda.
Yeah, that's not bad, to be honest. But what about dads? I mean, single dads, you know, they exist.
The thing is, if they missed the bit at the beginning about it doesn't happen by magic, which sounds a bit sarcastic and a bit kind of diggy, if they'd just left it with behind every Christmas there's mum, behind every great Christmas there's mum, and behind her there's Asda.
Yeah, that is a good line, to be honest.
Would have been fine.
I think you have to strike the tone well.
Exactly. So that one was 600 complaints.
Yeah.
And that was in 2012.
It's quite a long time ago. Aren't you impressed that I dug that out of the old memory banks in my brain? I was like, Asda, they complained about Christmas. It didn't work. Yeah. It's weird, like the stuff that's up there. It's all there.
I'm really impressed because, as we were saying when we were doing this planning, and yes, we did do planning.
I know, we've got a document about stuff we're talking about. How unusual.
Working in travel, Christmas didn't exist.
So, this year, or maybe last year, TUI did a Christmas ad. Have you seen it?
They did. But it's very odd. I'm wondering if that, and clearly I've not been in travel for 5 years, so I don't know, the booking trend has changed. Mm-hmm. But it used to be, it kicked off like literally Boxing Day, and then it would go up like phenomenally in January and then start to peter off. But then what we were noticing is that it was the peak in January was actually not as high, and then it was kind of had a longer tail. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if it's coming a little bit further forward and they're stimulating that January.
It doesn't make sense to me, just in my imagining what real people do. Like, you're preparing for Christmas, you're not booking a holiday, are you?
The thing is, though, people do book holidays on Christmas Day and Boxing Day.
Well, all the organising is finished. They've got to have something to do, haven't they?
Right, I'm done with that now.
It's like when people go out to the shops on Boxing Day. It's like, haven't you done enough shopping? Seriously.
I can't get on board with that.
It's not my thing.
No.
So those are the main things.
Yeah, what can't we do, though?
Okay, big clangers are, as we've mentioned, Asda in 2012. They got in a bit of a shit about this, so that you can't really whinge and you can't be stereotypical. So the thing about mum having to do everything and no one else helping, or a sort of useless husband is not really appropriate in today's world. You know, you could probably switch it around and having like dad's, you know, busy and doing all of his stuff, and perhaps, you know, he's a single dad or something. I'm not sure. But, you know, so mum being burnt out and feeling annoyed and resentful, that doesn't really go down well.
No.
As we've seen with the old Asda thing years ago. You can't kill Santa.
No.
You can't let the cat out of the bag around, oh, Santa's not real, kids, and it's your parents sneaking into your bedroom at night. Like,
spoilers.
I don't think children are really watching our podcast.
I always put it as over 18.
Spoilers, just in case anyone over 7 hasn't realised.
Or any of our students listening.
Oh, bless them. Oh, that would be so cute, wouldn't it? Yeah, so you can't kill Santa.
Yeah, and we can't whinge about how annoying Christmas is.
Absolutely not. A bit of chaos, though. That's fine. You know, because Christmas is chaotic, but you've got to do it with a positive spin.
You have, yeah.
It's got to be, oh, isn't it nice when everyone gets together and, like, you know, people can have arguments and, like, you know, dad or granddad can fall asleep in the sofa after his Christmas pudding. But, you know, yes, it's still got to remain positive.
Yeah. And then we do there's no cultural fun poking, shall we say.
Well, no, you can't really go, ha ha, Jewish people don't celebrate Christmas, like, or ha ha, Muslim people don't celebrate Christmas. That's not really
And also we can't go political either, because that's just a dumpster fire for Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I worked on a Christmas campaign the year the Brexit vote happened, and our response to that was about a community coming together. Yeah. And that is about as political as we got.
I think that one of those ones that came together is the Sainsbury's 1914 Christmas ad, which I have to say is just peak Christmas. It is so nicely done.
Oh, it's nicely done. I really, really liked it. I mean, it was a centenary.
Yeah, and it was done with the British Legion, wasn't it?
Yeah, poppy
Very,
people.
very nicely done.
Yeah, so it was properly like with a charity, absolutely. And it was a long form, so I think it was about 2 minutes or something. So it was a long old ad, and it was based on something that actually happened.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, so they did play football in No Man's Land around Christmas, and they did hear the Germans singing, and they started singing. I mean, No Man's Land is not very large in some bits of the First World War. Like, you could literally, like, see the enemy in the trenches and stuff. So, yeah, I thought that was a wonderful ad. Very, very moving and heartwarming. And obviously we all know what happened to those boys, you know, 4 years of horrendous trench warfare. It's absolutely
But it was so nicely done. It wasn't cliche. No. It was really heartfelt. And I think they did And
the products were there.
Oh.
Cadbury's chocolate and a little box of stuff. Yeah, it was really, really good. I don't necessarily know that they made it Sainsbury's, but we'll get onto that in a bit in terms of making it well branded. But yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful ad.
Yeah, so that's the recipe. So
them's the recipe. So heartwarming, emotional, got to have impact. So System 1 does every year. They basically rank all of the ads and they say like, okay, what happens and their star rating. So star rating, they've got 2 measures. They've got star rating and spike. Star is long-term brand building stuff, so how the longevity of the ad and how emotional it is and how heartwarming it is and all of that. And spike is basically the short-term impact, so how much is it going to drive sales as soon as it goes on air. But they say the majority of ads are basically in the 1 and 2 stars, which is essentially a waste of money. And it's only about 3% of ads are in the 5-star category.
Wow.
But the majority of 5-star ads over the year come at Christmas time.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because everybody like puts a whole bunch of effort into making a lovely, you know, emotional ad. Christmas advertising has long-term impact, and there's a whole bunch of different studies about the longevity of Christmas. But also
it's a lot of money to be spending.
Oh, it's a huge amount
for what feels like a quite a short season. But what you're saying is it's actually an investment for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, and subsequent years as well. I mean, a lot of the ads this year were just plain repeats. Well, obviously the Coca-Cola one is the one that gets replayed pretty much every year. I mean, they do remake it, yeah.
The holidays are coming.
Holidays are coming.
God, I love that.
Everybody loves that.
I mean, living overseas, that was literally, the first time you saw that advert, it was literally the start of Christmas. Yeah. Because there's nothing else.
No.
There's no, weather doesn't change, you know, you're still at school,
Right.
So it's not until you hear that ad and like everyone's like, oh my God, Christmas is coming.
Christmas is here.
And that horrendously was 1995. Was the first time that came out.
Yeah, I don't know why, I assumed it was way longer.
It does feel
like it's been there forever. Yeah.
Well, it is 29 years and it's almost 30 years ago that it came out. That's why it feels so long, I think. 1995?
Is that 30 years? Yes, it is, isn't it? Why does time keep going, Liz? So anyway, yeah.
So holidays are coming.
So that's a plain repeat, although Coca-Cola redid that with AI this year. That was a big story.
Yeah.
Which I personally absolutely hated.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely, they sucked the soul out of it.
It was a bit weird.
The humans look weird, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm dead behind the eyes. Yeah, no, thank you. Coca-Cola, yeah, nice experiment, but absolutely not.
Yeah, I think I'm on the side of nice experiment, and I'm a bit weirded out by it didn't do better, they didn't execute it better, because let's be honest, they're not short of cash. You know, they've got a really decent agency. What were they doing? I mean, I don't know.
They probably didn't employ the agency, I imagine. But I don't know about that. But I mean, System 1 did test it and they say real people actually really like it. But I think it's not actually anything to do with the AI that they like. They like it because it's the same ad.
It's nostalgia.
It's nostalgic and they know what the ads are, right? Yeah. Oh, holidays are coming and the tune and all of that.
Yeah.
So that was basically one of the early Christmas campaigns. And then John Lewis came along.
Yes. John Lewis did, with The Long Wait at 2011, was the first official Christmas hat.
I don't think it was the first official one. They did a few before that. So Adam and Eve did the first one. I think it was a year before that, which was sort of Here's to the Gifters.
Yeah.
And that was a strategy. So the strategy for the brief basically every single year for John Lewis was thoughtful gifting. And you have to come up with another twist on what is a thoughtful way to be giving presents, essentially. But The Long Wait, for me personally, is like the one that kicked it really all off.
That kid, it was really well done, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. I mean, you know, the idea was brilliant.
Yeah.
And the craft of it was amazing.
Because we could all buy into that idea of kids counting down Christmas, but that little twist at the end when he ran past the parcels and to his mum and dad to give them a present.
Yeah, brilliant twist.
Cracking.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
No.
Oh, he's a selfish kid. He wants presents. He wants his presents, right? He can't wait. But what I really loved about it is it set the tone for the rest of Adam and Eve's relationship with John Lewis.
Even this year's John Lewis advert with the two sisters was very nice.
Well, that's a different agency.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Still gifting, though. Still thoughtful gifting.
Yeah, it's thoughtful gifting, yeah, for sure. I mean, they're not going to change that brief.
No.
Because it can't be, like, spontaneous, kind of, like, frivolous gifting. Because it's John Lewis, for goodness sake. Like, it's expensive shit in there, isn't it?
It is.
So, Long Wait, brilliant. Craft of it, amazing. And then they're basically that format. So they had popular songs, cover versions.
Yeah.
And then off they went. And they did probably 14 years of thoughtful gifting. Some were more moving than others. Some were funnier than others. Some were animated. Some were sort of with a dragon. Do you remember that one?
Oh,
loved that one. Edgar the Dragon or something.
It's kind of like a play on Puff the Magic Dragon, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it really set the tone, and then everybody else joined in.
Yeah.
Which I think, well done, John Lewis. They really created an event, annual event.
So what do you think about this idea? I mean, we mentioned it before, this idea of continuity or repetition.
Well, I think the challenge with Christmas is to be Christmassy, but have your own take on it that's actually relevant to your brand. And it's got to be recognisably you. And it's a massive challenge, especially for the retailers. Yeah. So the supermarkets especially. John Lewis can do whatever the hell they want because they're John Lewis, right? Everybody's going to be watching out for John Lewis and everybody's going to be paying attention, right? Yeah. And so especially for the supermarket, so Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco,
Marks and Spencer's
now, Aldi,
Waitrose,
Lidl. Well, Waitrose doesn't do a separate one because it's part of John Lewis.
Ah.
And that therefore you'll notice that there will be food in the John Lewis ads. And that's the Waitrose component.
Is Marks and Spencer's the same? They do food and
What, apparel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the homeware and clothing is actually a separate business function within Marks and Spencer's. So often they'll do their own. So they'll have the clothing one and the homeware one, and then they'll have a separate food one.
Yeah.
But sometimes they join up.
It's not just Christmas food ad from 2006.
It's not just Christmas food, it's M&S Christmas
Yeah.
food. I mean, that's playing on your M&S.
I love that.
So they did the food one, and this is Y&R, right? Okay, Rennie Kelly.
Yeah.
So they did the food one. It's not just food, this is M&S food. And they did zillions of those.
And
sexy food, basically.
And it's been riffed on so many times, and there's so many memes. I have to say, I do love that.
Oh, it's heaven. Oh, yum, 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 yum. And it's very, very M&S.
Yeah.
That's why you go to M&S for that sexy food, right?
Yeah, you do.
But the apparel stuff, they always a bit second fiddle to the food lot, in a way. But they came up with your M&S with Twiggy in a dress.
Yes.
Who doesn't like that? And all the models, supermodels that are
yeah.
slightly old women of a certain age.
Yeah. I have to say, I've aged into Marks and Spencer's.
Me too. This year, I think that's happened.
Yeah.
I went in and I'm like, this stuff is lovely.
I was like, who knew?
I know. It's been waiting for us all this time, Liz. Well, do you know what? In Brighton, I have very warm feelings about the M&S opposite Churchill Square. Because my granny used to take me in there when I was little. Yeah, my granny lived in Hove. Yeah, I know. It's really sweet. She lives, well, she's dead now, but she lived about 5 minutes away from where I live now. How nice is that?
That is very nice.
But yeah, the M&S in Churchill Square, I go in there and I think of my granny. Because she used to take me in. Yeah, it's cute. But you do age into M&S when basically fashion and comfort are like, what's going on? Shall I have comfort or shall I have fashion? No, fuck it. I'm going to have comfort. That's basically what happens. Yeah, so there we go.
But yeah, that advert, Chef's Kiss, I have to say.
Well, I mean, the whole series of them, they're brilliant.
And I have to say, the Dawn French stuff, loving that. Loving it.
So this year, Dawn French has been a bit of a reoccurring. They haven't really used her in a way like they have this year.
Yeah, it's Double Dawn this year.
Double Dawn. And you know what? Double Dawn is really working for me personally.
Well, System 1 said it was 5.9 stars.
Yeah, that's the maximum you can get on System 1. So they've done really well. So what is good about Double Dawn is that they've used Dawn the Fairy, which is the thing that they used last year, and I think maybe even the year before. They've run several years of her. But she was only the fairy, and it was other families doing whatever, and she came along and helped. But she was helping herself this year. But she was funny.
Very, very funny.
Really, really well done.
Kind of Vicar of Dibley funny.
Absolutely. That's what she was doing.
Very good.
So that was brilliant. But going back to your point about what do you actually need to do, you need to be well-branded and recognisable, but you still also need to be Christmassy. And the problem with coming up with Christmas ads, it's really difficult to come up with a new thing about Christmas every single blooming year. So that's why these brands are repeating these ads and repeating the concepts. They might not necessarily run exactly the same ad, but they'll repeat the concept. So, for example, the M&S thing with Dawn French, lovely. Aldi.
Variation on theme with Kevin the Carrot.
Kevin the Carrot. Now, I think they've done brilliantly. They've done that for years now. It's really, really working for them because, like the John Lewis ad, people look out for it. Yeah. Oh, Kevin the Carrot, what's he doing? It's funny and it's kind of Christmassy because he's the hero of the story, and then there's other things going on, like the villains. And so it's a real, like, fairy tale in a way with this carrot. I mean, how hilarious is that? They've done such a good job. It's very well branded because people recognise who it's for. They know, they associate the blooming Kevin the Carrot with Aldi. Yeah. Now, so that's done a really good job. Good. Yeah.
One, you were just talking about being distinctive branding. Remember the Guinness advert? No Guinness in it.
Yeah, but
lots and lots of hints for Guinness. And I thought that was a very, very clever, smart ad. The whole black and white, the spire with the snow on the top that looks like Guinness, the gate at the end that looks like Guinness. Very, very nice.
Yeah, I personally don't think they've made enough of that because that is an incredibly distinctive asset for them. Yeah. The black or the very, very dark brown Guinness and then the white head. basically. And that is obviously very Christmassy because you can just do it with snow and you've got these dark objects underneath and snow on top. Very nice.
Brilliantly done.
So I think that was a one-hit wonder for them, but they should have done that every single year. I don't know why they haven't.
Yeah, no, I like that. I thought that was a very smart ad. Maybe it didn't resonate.
Maybe.
Too smart, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Maybe only advertising people liked it and the real people didn't. Yeah. So repetition and continuity. So Kevin the Carrot is continuity, basically.
Yep.
Like, they can't kill that carrot. That's insane.
Never.
Yeah, and like my old client, Very, they're doing a really good job. I think they've introduced these flamingos, which is very, very interesting because flamingos, you don't really necessarily
think of Christmas.
I thought that was really, really smart to introduce an asset, a distinctive asset that they can own because they're pink, right? That's their brand. And they've still got the boxy thing. Good, because,
that's a nice gift.
St. Luke's basically spent 10 years like building that asset to be associated with them. So well done. What's your favourite John Lewis ad? You can have top 3 if you want.
I can't even think of 3 adverts.
You can't think of John Lewis ads?
No.
Oh my God. Because you never worked on a Christmas campaign. This is a problem, Liz.
No.
And also, you don't watch television.
So, as a civilian over Christmas, you watch stuff and you forget stuff.
You're a civvy, yeah. Okay. Well,
I still think my favourite adverts, though, are the Marks and Spencer's Dawn French and the food one. I also think that I quite like the IKEA one 3 or 4 years ago with the Fresh and Clean. One hit wonder.
That's my literal favourite ad.
It's great, isn't it?
I play that to my students. They look at me like I'm insane. It's so funny. They did such a good job. DAA, the grime artist, he was up and coming when they hired him. He wrote the song for them and then they made the ad.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I mean, my favourite line out of that, if your house was a car, it would be pulled over. Which is so funny. So small. So, brilliant. Good insight as well. Yeah. But very edgy in terms of a Christmas ad because they're basically playing on the negative, which is like, mate, your house is a mess. Tidy it up and put new shit in to hide all the cracks in the wall.
But it wasn't getting at Christmas. It was getting at the fact that you've got people coming.
People coming over for Christmas,
so you need to be, I think,
fresh and clean. Ba-da-ba-ba. I thought that was genius, absolutely brilliant. And I'm sad that they haven't continued that kind of like singing songs about the mess in people's houses because it's very, very funny. Yeah. But yeah, it was a bit one hit wonder, but they created nice content out of that as well. They had obviously the ads, but they released the single on Spotify.
Of course they did, yes.
Yeah. And now he does one every year. Different versions, but the same track.
Nice.
Yeah, so well done, DWE. Very good. And also got me a bit more into grime music. Of which I know nothing.
Me neither.
Yeah, so that was great. But John, going back to, so you haven't got favourite John Lewis ads because you're a civilian and you can't remember any of them.
No, I can't.
Okay, so I'll tell you mine. So, firstly, I think The Long Wait personally is brilliant.
Yep.
So that's really good. And then I loved the 2 consecutive ones. So first of all, The Lonely Old Man on the Moon.
You see, that was in our clangers list.
Everybody hated it because it was too sad. First of all, it was for a charity. So it was loneliness at Christmas, which is a really big problem. Old people are very lonely, lots of them. Absolute loneliness epidemic. And so it was essentially saying, be nice to your neighbours and invite them over, I don't know, not Christmas, but like maybe Boxing Day or something. So it was about making people aware. And it's such a huge platform.
It is, yeah.
So to make people aware of such a close-to-home issue, I thought was very brave and it wasn't very producty, although she did use a telescope, which is obviously you can buy at John Lewis. And I liked, so I can break it down for you. So the loneliness thing I thought was good. I liked that she was a girl and she was into science. So that was that, but everybody said it was a bit sad, and it was sad.
I don't know, it got 25 million views on YouTube.
Well, it's always going to get big views, let's say. Yeah, so that's my number 1. Well, number 2...
Long Wait.
Long Wait's number 1.
Sad Man, yeah.
And then Sad Man on the Moon.
Yep.
And then a close third, or even tied in second place, is the Response one that they did the following year, which was the trampolining dog, Buster the Boxer, or whatever his name is. So that was about gifts that everyone can enjoy. That was that line.
Yep.
God, I really do have an encyclopedic knowledge of all Christmas ads. They're all up there playing in a little cinema. The parents got her a trampoline, and the night they set it up, and then it was like ready in the morning. But overnight, like all the animals jumped on the trampoline. Have you not seen this one? It's so cute. It had a badger and 2 foxes and a squirrel. And then the dog was looking and couldn't get out. And then in the morning when the kid was like, oh, it's your present, then the dog like ran to this. It was so funny. And the music was brilliant. So those are my top 3. I would also say honourable mention goes to Elton John with his piano. I thought that was wonderful.
Yes.
And also a bit of a
national treasure, isn't he?
Well, he is a national treasure and a huge, huge celebrity to get. I mean, John Lewis.
For an advert.
Yeah, if John Lewis is going to get a celebrity, like, you might as well go big.
Yeah.
And a bit of a departure for John Lewis because they don't normally work with celebrities.
No.
So, and also, Barry had the same idea in the same year, pretty much, about a gift you get in childhood can then take you somewhere. We had our girl going to the moon. And they had Elton John, so I think they won.
Hands down.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was wonderful.
I do like the nostalgic side of some of the Christmas ads. Like, I do love the BFG in the Sainsbury's adverts.
The BFG.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. And because, I mean, I read them as a kid and I probably haven't read them since then. But it does make you feel, oh, I remember.
I think kids get read Roald Dahl nowadays.
Yeah.
I've probably read the BFG more times than I can count as a child. And so, yeah, very nostalgic. The challenge, I would say, is that really Sainsbury's? Are real people in the world? Will they go, oh, yeah, that's Sainsbury's ad? Or will they go, oh, yeah, that BFG Roald Dahl ad?
Yeah.
That's a problem with using an iconic character like that and not, I hate the word own, but not owning it. I don't think Sainsbury's can own the BFG.
No.
Unfortunately.
I do think the Fizz Whizzing one that came out this year is better branded because you've got the young cashier in a uniform.
Sophie, yeah. And it's in a Sainsbury's.
Yes.
Car park.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And she can see the trolleys. But yeah, I think it's better branded, but you have to say the focus is on BFG. He's just brilliant.
Yeah, he's very cute. Yeah, he's a very charming character, isn't he? But again, I don't think it's ownable. I'm sorry. Or at least recognisably Sainsbury's. Do you know what the Sainsbury's ad that I loved was a nativity play they did a few years ago with the kids, the really shy kids. It was basically a rip-off of Love Actually.
Yeah.
And they did, that song.
Is that the one with the little star?
The star at the... it's so cute, isn't it? Cute. With the kids. And, like, they're all dressed in little, like, they've got a bauble. The best bit of that ad is the plug boy. He runs along and he jumps and plugs himself in and the Christmas tree lights are, like, lit up. Brilliant. I mean, that's very memeable. So, other hits before we get on to clangers.
Yep.
This year, I would say...
Sainsbury's Gravy Song?
Well, that's not this year.
That's 2020.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
So Sainsbury's Gravy Song I thought was absolutely delightful, so beautiful. And they had a series of 3. And it was essentially in the context of lockdown. So it was 2020 was the first Christmas that we were allowed to get together. And I think, wasn't it that the year...
And it was really short notice as well.
Yeah, everyone can get together and it was like 3 weeks out or something. And everyone was like, oh my God. So Sainsbury's did 3 ads and it was based on a phone call, each of the ads. And someone was phoning their parents or their, folks basically, saying how much they were looking forward to Christmas. And this one was a standout one for me. It was a girl, a woman, ringing her dad, and it was about the dad's gravy song. And the mum wasn't on the call, but the dad was. And so it was a lovely dad-daughter moment, basically. And the daughter was teasing him about the gravy. Oh, no, don't sing the gravy song, Dad. And he sung the gravy song. And she's, like, cringing. And she's like, oh, I really miss the mum's potatoes or whatever. And it wasn't like you thought, like, oh, my God, the dad's going to die or something.
I was waiting for it.
It was literally just a lovely conversation between a daughter and a dad. Now, this family happened to be black, but...
Oh, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, well, that's why everyone was whinging about it on Twitter, because the anti-woke brigade mustered up some enthusiasm for this ad and basically just whinged about it on Twitter. So much so that they had to turn the comments off on YouTube. Actually, a bunch of killjoys. And who gives a shit?
Earlier comment.
Well, this is why it's really important to have representation in advertising and in media in general.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, it's just a regular old family having a conversation about gravy, for goodness sake. Stop whinging that they happen to be black. So I thought it was beautifully crafted and it was well branded. You knew it was for Sainsbury's.
Yep.
Because this is what they do well. And I think it was Wydens at the time was working on Sainsbury's. I don't know if they still do, but they might still do. But basically, they used to like colour grade it out, a lot of it, and then have orange pops in all of their ads. And then they would transition at one point in the ad to full colour to see the food or whatever it is, right? And that's what they did. And they had 2 others, which I can't remember what they were, probably not as good. But I just remember this one. A, for the very heartwarming and beautiful content. It's also, it resonates with me because I love my dad to bits. You know, so that father-daughter thing is very resonant for me personally. But anyway, as I'm sure it is for lots of people. And I just thought it was really beautiful, and I think it captured a really authentic relationship really nicely, which is hard to do in a Christmas ad because you would tend to not have it in reality. You would actually tend to kind of have it so it's heightened reality. So it's like overblown or fairy tale or something. Yeah, a bit schmaltzy, a bit like, this isn't reality, but it's Christmas, so we're going to like put tinsel on it. Yeah, but I just thought it was very authentic. So last but not least, in my list of loveliness is this year's Apple advert for the EarPods. They've done a really beautiful, quite heartwarming and emotional, so ticking those boxes, and authentic slice of life kind of ad around this new feature. Now, it's not often that a product has a new feature that you can actually make an ad out of, because sometimes these features are a bit generic. But this one is actually quite specific to their AirPods. EarPods, I think they're called? AirPods. Basically, the AirPods now have a hearing aid function. Yeah, and so this whole thing, another father-daughter thing, right? This whole thing is like the dad is sitting there and you hear what he hears, and it's all muffled and you can't hear the daughter. So he can't appreciate his daughter unwrapping her presents or being excited about Christmas or doing other things Christmassy. And then finally, like, they get the iPhone out and press the button and he's listening, and then full clarity happens.
And it's quite nice that Apple managed to do something so good when there's quite a lot of food clutter around Christmas.
Yeah.
So, and it was also really nicely branded, quite emotional, so it ticked all of the boxes.
Yeah, Apple are very good at branding and also not being too, oh, look, it's our product. Here comes the screen. You know, they're very good at that. They are quite good. But that's because they're very iconic and distinctive because of the white. No one else can really own that.
No.
So they've done a very good job of that. So those are my faves, really.
Okay. Should we do what the overall best Christmas campaign is for this year? Yeah, so number 1 is Kevin the Carrot this year.
For Aldi.
Yeah.
Well done, Aldi. Very, very good. It's number 1 for System 1, and what they do is they test every single ad out there and they rank them. And they got 5.9, didn't they?
Yeah.
What was the spike rating? They didn't measure the spike. Well, they probably did.
No, but the average category was 4.4.
3.4 was the average category. Supermarkets.
Supermarkets.
Supermarket category, which you would think they would be doing better. But anyway, 5.9, which is basically the maximum star rating. And that means kind of longevity and brand building and emotional content and emotional impact. So well done, Aldi. I mean, they're smashing it. You know, they've got a really, really good asset.
Who doesn't love the mystery aisle?
Yeah.
I mean,
some
if they ever
random
get rid of
shit that you can get.
If they ever get rid of that,
well, what makes them. This is what makes them. I mean, Lidl's got it as well.
I know, but they don't do it quite as well. And also, I love, and you know, I'm a sucker for a pun. I just love the way they name stuff. Like, it's not Lurpak, it's Norpak. I love it.
Their product people must have an absolute ball.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Aldi, the discounters are really, really doing very well. You know, they've basically eaten the middle.
Yeah.
You know, the Tesco's and the Asdas of this world are really struggling.
Yeah.
They're only winning because they got footprint.
Yep. I can believe that. We're going to do our Aldi Dash and Splash this weekend.
Dash and smash. Well, that's how people shop now.
Yeah.
They don't just go to the same supermarket week in, week out and do everything. They'll go and get their posh stuff from Waitrose or M&S maybe.
Yeah.
Or even, Zano's. And I know, I call it Zano's. My sister calls it Zano's, which is like a sort of amalgamation of Tesco's and Sainsbury's.
We call it Sainsbugs.
Sainsbugs, that's cute. But yeah, I mean, Zano's is basically not doing that great in comparison.
Well, they are.
But that's how people behave now.
They're like squeezed in the middle, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in that middle space, which is difficult. They used to be at the bottom end because Aldi and Lidl didn't exist. Well, they exist on the continent, but they came over and smashed it. So, yeah, and that's how people do it. Once you're converted into going into Aldi or Lidl and you don't mind the chaos, because it is chaos.
It is chaos.
I tell my students, why do you think it's chaos in there? What are they trying to say? And everyone looks at me with a blank face. And basically I explain, I say, look, what they're signalling, similar to Ryanair and EasyJet, is that there's no frills. We're not going to pay someone to take everything out of the cardboard and put it neatly on the shelf so it looks nice. No, we're just going to smash the cardboard box on the shelf and be done with it. Or just pile it up and then everybody takes it. And they don't have people cleaning up either. So it's absolute like bomb site in there. But deliberately so. Because it tells people this is where we're saving money.
And also, stuff's going so quickly, we can't get it out boxes fast enough.
Well, yes, also, it's very popular, so blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but that's exactly why they do it. It's because they're signalling to people that they don't waste money on it.
Same as
and make their prices more expensive.
The checkouts, when they beep you through, there's no place to put stuff, so you've got to pack quicker.
Oh, that's, I think, a continental thing. Have you ever shopped in a supermarket on the old continent?
I have, yeah. But I know that Aldi have got a beep target.
Really? Got they? What, beep, beep, beep? You've got to do it at a certain speed.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Whereas Waitrose is significantly slower.
Well, because they're giving you enough time to put it in your bag.
And they've also got they've got a target with number of questions to ask, like, have you enjoyed your shopping this week? Did you get everything?
Wow.
How are you? Having a nice time?
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, when I lived in the Netherlands for 3 years, Albert Heijn was pretty much the only supermarket. They don't have like these millions of supermarkets like we do. Like they got one basically, and then they may have another one which is a posh one.
To your point, continent shopping is completely different from the way we do it. They don't do a big shop. They
do more smaller shops.
Yeah.
But
Fashion little often.
I don't know if this is particularly a Dutch thing or if it's like Europe, but my experience of Albert Heijn, I got very, very good at packing really, really fast because basically they've got like, the conveyor belt that all the shopping goes down. Mm-hmm. Right, basically the person on the checkout, they're just beep, 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 beep. They won't wait and beep, beep, beep. You better be packing, mate. Mm-hmm. Beep, 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 beep. And then what they do is they've got this little arm thing and it splits the thing in two. And then they basically just go like that. And then they start beep, beep, beep the next person. So if you're too slow, you've got another person coming.
Yeah.
So I got very like, just fuck it, put it all in. So yeah, that was quite stressful. Yeah. And then when I came home, I was like, oh, this is actually a very sedate way of packing, and people ask you questions that no one talks to you in Albert Heijn in Amsterdam.
I had a friend that lived in Paris. I used to vicariously live through her, and she used to have one of those very Parisian markets by her flat, and she would go down and buy a baguette and French cheese and then in her basket. And
yeah, of course.
Man, I love that.
Jeez. Well, I think you get fed up with it. I like a big shop. I went and I dropped like 200 quid in Waitrose the other day. I filled my entire fridge and my entire cupboard. I was like, oh, this is heaven. And then how many meals did I actually buy? Probably not very many. Just bought stuff. What
are we doing? Are we going to sign off on the Kevin the Carrot being number one?
I don't like Kevin the Carrot.
That much?
No, I don't like it very much.
I think I'm happy to sign off on Christmas ads. I think they're really good. Of course. I think I love the event of them. I like spotting them now. I also like seeing if there's something new's coming. And I still look out for the holidays are coming. So a big yes on Christmas ads, I think, for me.
Oh, 100%.
I'm not sure whether Kevin the Carrot is actually the best because there are other ones that I quite like better, but that's a personal opinion. But yeah, I haven't got anything against Kevin.
I
Good job.
admire Kevin the Carrot because of the way that advertising actually works, which is you've got to be distinctive, you've got to be recognisably you,
Yeah.
you've got to be emotional, and you've got to be engaging, and you've got to be
Good job.
memorable. Like, if you just like in one ear out the other, you might as well just pour your money down the drain.
Exactly.
So I think it does a really nice job of actually recognising what works
So you
and
signing
just
off
leaning
on it?
into it. I absolutely would sign off on Kevin the Carrot. I'd be very happy if I was a client and year after year after year, you're like number one. Well, Aldi's probably performing much better in terms of sales and revenue just by the nature of their business and where they are in the market than John Lewis. John Lewis is not doing very well, or they really, really got hit with COVID.
Yeah, and their online game isn't that good either.
Their online game isn't great. Their app is not bad, to be fair, but they really got hit with COVID, and then they got hit with all the cost of living and then everything going up. So inflation and all of that, you know, and they had to make redundancies. So that's why they shifted agencies.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years ago, 2022, they shifted from Adam and Eve. Basically, Adam and Eve won that account maybe like 18 months after they launched. So it was an enormous win for them. And then they started doing all the ads, which was brilliant for them.
It's been gutted losing that.
I'm not sure. The thing about the loss, I've read a little bit into it. They had that relationship, and as all long-term relationships, you over-service because it's like their signature account, right? Yeah. So you over-service, and then you get resentful that you're over-servicing, and then the client is asking you to do more and more and more with the same fee. Mm-hmm. So you're not renegotiating properly on your retainer. Mm-hmm. And so you're probably having to do more with less anyway. And you're over-servicing. But, you know, it is still a signature account for you that gets all the other new accounts in. So they had that problem. They also had the other problem, which is all of the senior clients at John Lewis left. Mm-hmm. And all of the senior people at Adam and Eve left as well.
Big changes.
So, you know, most pitches are new CMOs.
Yep.
That's what happens, isn't it? Chief Marketing Officer. Oh, new one in. Let's get rid of the agency. So they shifted to, they didn't repitch for it. They were invited to repitch and they didn't repitch, which I thought was quite brave of them. But
you said they realised that they were over-servicing and they couldn't rescue the relationship and...
Yeah, so they had key personnel leave, and they probably weren't making any money out of it, to be honest. So they went to Saatchi and Saatchi's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Saatchi and Saatchi did the one with the Venus flytrap.
Oh yeah.
As the accidental Christmas tree, which I thought was actually utterly charming. I thought very sweet.
Very Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors, yeah, exactly. And then, which I thought was a bit of a key change for them. Yeah. And then they've done this one, which, heaven forbid, is set in an actual John Lewis with actual shop, like reminding people that they, you know, they sell stuff.
That's the sister one, isn't it?
I
actually quite like that one.
I like it as well because actually I've got two sisters and it's resonant for me as well. So that's why they've done that. And we'll see if that's actually boosts their sales or not. I'm sure it will.
Okay, so you're signing off. Big yes.
Big God, yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be for the right brand. But as long as you're distinctive, well-branded, and it's got to be Christmassy, it's got to be heartwarming, can't be too sad, can't be too frivolous, and it's got to be, like, authentic and emotional. If you can do all of that, then off you go.
Yeah. Well, Merry Christmas, guys.
Thanks for listening and watching.
I hope you have a fantastic Christmas break, and we'll see you in the new year.
With loads more stuff that we can talk about. How exciting.
See you soon.
Bye. Well, Liz, that's another fine podcast in the bag. I hope you enjoyed the chit-chat and found something useful.
Follow us on socials at the Sign Off Podcast, where a new episode is out every 2 weeks. Send your questions and comments to signoffpodcast@gmail.com.
See you next time.